Hello, Happy New Year. I hope you're having a great start to the year and welcome to this episode of the Online Course Creator Show, where I'm going to look back on the year that was in 2023 that is now behind us and do a roundup of what I noticed when it comes to online courses and online business based on what was happening in the market at the time, but also based on the work that I've been doing behind the scenes with my clients, behind the scenes in their launches in the trenches with them, and what I saw working and not working that, may be different to things that worked well in the past. Now, I think it's really important to look back and really look at the big themes of the year. So as a course creator, you can gauge what's changing in the industry so that you can keep up with the changes and actually use them to your advantage in the coming year, in 2024. There's no doubt things are changing in this space, so tune in. So in today's episode, I'm going to cover the key themes I noticed in 2023 when it comes to creating, launching, and scaling online courses from behind the scenes with my clients, my own business, and the industry as a whole. I'm also going to look at things that worked really well in 2023 that you can use to your advantage to succeed in 2024. And the things I noticed online course creators really struggled with in 2023 that may have worked well in the years previous to that. Now, before I get into it, I just wanted to mention that this is the first episode of a two-part mini-series. So part 2 will be coming out in a few days' time, and it will be all about what's in and what's out for online course creators for 2024. So this episode is looking back at the year that was, and the next episode is going to be looking forward with my predictions, what I think is going to be a focus and what I think is going to be good things to focus on in the coming year. So you'll want to tune into that too, as it's the perfect follow-on from this episode and some of the themes go across both episodes, of course. Rightio, let's get into it. So to review 2023, I'm just going to go through some key themes that I noticed when it came to the online course industry last year. And the first one, we've got to talk about it, it's the economy. So 2023 was a very, very interesting year in online business. Some people had bigger launches than ever, some had really successful launches of new products, and some people found it really difficult to hit the previous numbers that they had experienced in 2020, 2021, 22, where everyone was online and learning. Now, if you think back to that time, we were all going through the pandemic, which was huge, right? And this is really the phase where online learning became almost mainstream. So everyday people suddenly had to get up to speed on how to navigate the online space. And online courses, I would say it was like the boom time for online courses, where literally you could have any product and it would sell. Right. And I think what we've seen in 2023 is a slowing down of that because people are well back in the world now, in the real world, and people are not relying so much on the online world. Yes, people are spending way more time online. There's no doubt about that. And, places like TikTok and all of that are super popular, which really started in the pandemic. But I think we've also experienced that kind of return to normality this year, which has meant that a lot of people, their products haven't sold to the same degree that they have. And a big part of that, like I mentioned, is the economy of 2023. So we saw a cost of living crisis, higher interest rates, higher cost of everything, really. And this meant that many businesses, not just online, but, an economy goes up and down, and that is completely normal. It goes through peaks and troughs, and that's the way it's happened historically forever, and it's going to continue to happen. So I'd say last year was a little dip. It wasn't a huge dip. We didn't have a global recession or anything like that. And, who knows what's going to happen this year, but not many countries actually dipped into that recession, but there was definitely cost of living pressures massive massive problem in 2023, and people just became a lot more savvy in what they were willing to spend their hard-earned cash on because their disposable income reduced. And now this does not apply to everyone, but I'm just talking like generally what's happening out there, the themes in 2023, and that was definitely one of them. Now, it definitely didn't mean that you couldn't launch well and do and achieve great launches that were successful in 2023, because that definitely still happened. And some people had their highest launches ever, but there were some people who just could not keep up with the results, the launch results that they'd been having previously. And that definitely comes down to the economy, those cost of living pressures, and people really looking at where their money is going and having to cut costs. And things like online courses, depending on what the topic is, may be seen as not a necessity. It really depends on what the topic is, right? Now, we also saw a kind of reverse trend of people going into the online space. I think in 2023, there were quite a few people that actually returned to the workforce and maybe even got a part-time job just to make ends meet while they continue with their business, or even some people left the business world behind. So we are seeing more people come into the online space, and I think that is something that we really need to realise as well. But there are also people that are going the other way, and say the few years prior to that, we definitely didn't see that. So that's definitely a theme that I noticed in 2023. I'm sure you noticed it too. Like, it kind of goes without saying. So the economy, a huge part of 2023, there's no doubt about it. I really think there's a lot of gaslighting going on as well in the online space, where people don't want to acknowledge that this has actually happened. And I just think we're doing ourselves a complete disservice. And, you know, if you are struggling and you haven't hit the numbers of previous years in 2023, just know that it's not you, it's the economy, okay? But there are ways around it. And the next 2 episodes, this mini-series, I'm actually going to share what I really think is so vital at the moment. So make sure you tune in to the next episode as well. Now, another thing that I noticed, and this is one that I don't know if many people would have noticed this, but I feel like affiliate marketing changed a bit. And I didn't really see much about this online, but I experienced it as someone who was an affiliate for a range of different softwares. And what I saw was that a few affiliate programs with software that I promoted actually just shut down. They just said, we're not doing it anymore, and closed the doors, which is really, I thought, quite interesting. And, you know, these ones that did that really didn't provide any explanation, but obviously they feel like it's not the right investment for their business for whatever reason. One business that I did notice they didn't close down their affiliate offer, but they changed their criteria, is Canva. They have a huge affiliate program, and I know some people that were really affected by that. They came out with a list of eligibility that you needed to meet in order to be a creator, a Canva creator, I think they call them. And unless you had a huge following online, it really excluded a lot of people, and it didn't include website traffic. So I know of a couple of people who are bloggers who get a tremendous amount of SEO traffic and make a lot of money through Canva, and suddenly that whole affiliate stream was gone for them. And for some people, that was how they made their money. So I thought that was a really interesting shift in 2023. No idea why they did it. And it'll be interesting to see what comes of that, what happens in 2024. Now, when it comes to 2023, we cannot not mention AI. So this came in strong in January 2023. I remember being in New Zealand on holiday, and I was playing around with it on my laptop, and then I went out for dinner that night with friends, and my friend's husband was talking about it too. So he'd been on there finding out about it, and we were talking about it, and everyone else at the table was like, what is this? It's crazy. And I just think that it was a complete new world in January, and then it quickly changed a lot actually throughout the year. So it came in strong at the start of the year, saw it roll out within a lot of platforms. So what I mean by that is a lot of platforms integrated it into their existing software. So for example, Kajabi created like a course outline AI tool. I think they did a sales page one as well. And a lot of different softwares integrated AI into their existing tools. There was also new tools that came out that would do things like this one, for example, I think it's called Swell AI, where you can just upload the link to your podcast and it will do the transcript and all of that stuff as well, and give you a description and all of that kind of thing. So there are definitely a lot of new tools that have come out because of AI. So I think that's really interesting. One thing I definitely noticed myself is that the quality of the output deteriorated quite a lot towards the end of the year. And I think that really has to do with the fact that now there's a paid chat GPT tool that is like $20 a month. So I think there was definitely a decline and people became really savvy to it and could really tell if something was written by AI. I feel like I'm pretty confident that I can tell if something's written by AI now. And yeah, it kind of doesn't sound quite right. I think there's a lot to be said for editing the output that you get. Anyway, we'll talk more about that next week. Now, another thing that was huge in 2023, and you may not be aware of this if you don't spend much time on Instagram or TikTok, but one thing that was definitely very big when it came to online courses and actually looked like for a moment it could disrupt this entire industry was master resale rights, or for short MRR. So that hit the market, I think it was about mid-year, maybe like July, August-ish, and suddenly it was everywhere. It was huge for a few months. However, I've already seen this fading and I think that it's just a fad. So if you don't know what master resale rights is, it's basically like a business model, I guess. So the business model I teach you is to create your own online courses and learn how to sell them effectively and then scale up those online courses as an asset that you own. It's a product in your business and you have full ownership of it. Master resale rights, in comparison to that, is one group of people who have created a course that teaches people how to do digital marketing. And then once you buy that course, you can then resell it. And instead of getting like an affiliate commission where you just get a portion of the sales, you get the full portion, right? So if you bought it for $500, then you can sell it to as many people as you want for $500. Now, there are some people on the internet who made absolute fortunes out of this. And what I've noticed since is that, you know, it's gotten saturated really quickly. So people have sold it on to the next person, with the promise that they're going to make a lot of money from this model. And then more and more people are going on to TikTok and Reels, creating Reels, which I actually think is one of the main parts of the course. I think the course is called Roadmap. So I think a big focus of the online course, which apparently is pretty good, is on about creating those short videos and ebooks and that kind of thing, like paid ebooks as well, to build up your brand. And suddenly so many people are kind of fighting for attention. They're all selling the same thing. And what I've noticed is that the ones who got on that wagon early have done really well. They've got a huge following and they can sustain that because of that following. But all the people that they're selling to now who are just starting out are really struggling to get traction, getting no visibility. And, you know, I think it gets diluted when everyone's selling the same thing. Like some of the reels that I've seen, some of the TikToks have just gotten like no engagement at all. So I think that master resale rights is definitely, I think it was a one-hit wonder, to be honest, and we'll see what happens with that in 2024. Definitely look to disrupt the whole online course industry, but I don't think it did, which is great. Well, it didn't. Let's just say that it didn't. So my thoughts on this model, it's very interesting. I've always been very, very adamant that you should create your own assets and business. You know, I used to teach a course on SEO, and one of the reasons I did that is because you cannot rely on anything external to you. You cannot rely on social media platforms to do what you want, and I think we've seen that this year with Instagram engagement, right? You cannot rely on being an affiliate for anyone. Like I said, some of those affiliate channels that I was involved with just closed this year for no reason. So they make the decisions, not you. And, you know, as I said, Instagram engagement went down massively. So I think that is really important to be in charge of your own assets, like you own the real estate that you have online. So create your own courses. If you're an expert, creating courses shouldn't be, like, you shouldn't struggle on what to create the course on. Like, you should have a lot of ideas. That's probably, the problem is finding the right idea, right? So create your own stuff that's more useful, and you'll build a business that will last for years and won't be part of these up and down fads. So anyway, that was a big theme of 2023. Interesting to see where that goes. But to me, I feel like it is already on the downward slope anyway. And, you know, there'll probably be something new around the corner. Now, another thing that I noticed in 2023 is that low-cost digital products really re-emerged. I think these were big a few years ago, maybe like around 2020. And then in 2022, I think that they weren't that popular, weren't that common. But I think definitely I saw a re-emergence of them in 2023, particularly towards the end of the year. So I'm talking about your low-cost products like under $100 that you can run ads straight to. So I think this is a reaction to the economy, really. So people are thinking, well, you know, if I can't sell the higher ticket stuff, what do I have in my toolkit that I could sell for a lower cost and getting a higher volume of customers, and using these lower cost products as a lead in to your higher end signature programs and group coaching programs. I just think it's really important here to note that if you're going to sell these low-cost digital products, that you make sure the deliverables inside of them match the price tag. So you're not going to give away something that should be a $1,000 course in a low-cost $37 product, right? So those are the key themes that I picked up on in 2023. So moving on to the things that worked well in 2023 when it came to online business and courses, and this is primarily pulled from my knowledge of what worked and what didn't work in my clients' launches last year. Okay, so I have an insight that probably when you see people launching, unless they're doing a debrief and sharing it with everyone, you're not going to see this behind the scenes. So things that I saw that worked really well, Facebook ads. Yep, they are still working. A great way to fill up your funnel for your upcoming launch. It's all about having a strategy, having ads starting at the right time, not doing it the week the doors open, well before that. They definitely still work, and people are getting really good results with them in 2023. So that is promising, especially for those of you who struggle with organic social media or don't really want to spend your life, your business time on social media. There is another option there for sure. Another thing that really worked well in 2023 was having an offer that aligned with how people were feeling and what people were struggling with at the time. So, you know, because of the economy, I think there was a lot of pressures going on in various ways for a lot of people. So those that, you know, tapped into the mood of the time and used that in their messaging for their course that they may have already had, these were the people that actually had great launches because they were paying attention to what was happening in the market. They were listening to what people were struggling with, and they were giving them what they wanted as a result of that. Now, also, this worked really well for new products as well. So tapping into the times is a really key strategy, particularly when the economy is in one of those trough periods, that it's really, really, really important to pay attention to the mood and what people are saying and how they're feeling and listening to their frustrations, and then actually creating offers around that. But it also could be just really repackaging your offer so that the messaging ties into what people need at that particular time. So some of the bigger launches that I saw last year were definitely around tapping into something that was like interesting to a lot of people based on, what was happening at the time. Another thing that worked really well in 2023 was having a longer lead up time to your webinars and whatnot. So actually spending more time promoting them. I used to recommend like 5 to 7 days to promote a masterclass, but I'd say now that would be more up to like 8 to 10 days. You don't want it too long, but I definitely think that the time spent promoting something needs to be a little bit longer, and those that did that really reaped the rewards and had more people coming into their masterclasses and challenges and that type of thing. What also worked is potentially looking at what social media platforms you're spending all of your time on and looking at whether you're getting the return on investment of your time on those platforms. And a lot of people were very discouraged by Instagram. So one platform that I noticed started working really well for people in the online course space was LinkedIn. So definitely something to consider. Another thing that worked really well was looking at how you could add in more touch points to your launch. So this could mean doing a longer launch or looking at a more omnipresent approach. So you don't necessarily need to use all of the different social media platforms, but instead you could use all of the ways to communicate on one platform. So if you're looking at Instagram, for example, you could be using Reels, static posts, lives, broadcast channel, and stories, and that would be like your omnipresence. So it definitely became a bigger focus in 2023. If you want to succeed, it's definitely about being seen as an authority and becoming much more visible. Now, how you do this is going to be individual. There's lots of options, and you really just need to find the right options for you, but looking at ways that you can add in more touch points to your launches so that you can build more trust. And actually challenges are also really good at that in general, because if you're doing a 3 or 5 day launch, the amount of authority you can build in a very short amount of time is huge, massive. That is their one big advantage over masterclasses, in my opinion. So what else worked really well in 2023? I think that there's a definite appetite from consumers in general to have more of that in-person connection, potentially traveling to retreats, going to live events, and actually having that stronger connection with a particular group. I think that people as customers in 2023 really started to understand the impact of sticking with where you're at rather than jumping from coach to coach or jumping from tactic to tactic. I think the people that really focused, put their blinkers on and really focused on trusting themselves and the direction they're going in are the ones that definitely succeeded last year and didn't get hung up on, what people were saying about the economy, getting caught up in the, people are not spending kind of thing. Like the people that put their blinkers on and avoided those conversations are the ones that actually succeeded. So in 2023, I definitely noticed some common things that people were struggling with. And, maybe you're going to listen to this part and think, well, there's a few things in there that resonate with me. So, and I have a lot of conversations, one-on-one conversations with online course creators and they tell me things that they wouldn't necessarily say anywhere else, but things I noticed, some feelings of burnout and a general sense of dis-ease when within their business, particularly for those who have been around longer. I've been in business for 10 years, online business for 10 years. A lot of the people I know have been in business for a decent amount of time, going up to that decade as well. And I definitely noticed almost a sense of disinterest. And I think that really comes down to the fact that this year 2023 was probably the biggest downturn that we've experienced in that whole decade, which is crazy. It has really been on the rise the whole time. And then this year was the first dip, or last year, sorry. So I think that can, that does create a feeling of it feels a lot harder now. It feels like I'm pushing shit uphill kind of thing. And in general, it just felt all a lot harder. Like you really had to have your wits about you and just have your mind in the game last year to make it happen. And, a lot of people did. So that is awesome. But, just know that if you did struggle last year, you're definitely not alone. Okay. And it doesn't mean it's going to always be like that. So something else I noticed people struggling with is that offers that were previously successful no longer being that appealing if they didn't cater to the current mood. And I spoke about that before, the current economic landscape, or they were just too vanilla, too like cookie cutter, and there's lots of different courses around on the same thing. I think we've really reached a time where it is really about stepping into how are you different? What's your special thing about your program, and how you make people feel, and all of that kind of thing is really, really important. Another thing that I think everyone struggled with, or was very, very prominent in 2023, was Instagram and how useful it is in your business. So during the year, we definitely saw a lot of people struggling with this as the engagement completely tanked. It kind of reminded me of what happened with Facebook around 2018-ish. I think it was around about then. And it just kind of changed, and you couldn't get the same reach as you used to be able to. Exact same thing happened on Facebook. Like Facebook used to be booming when it came to online businesses, and I actually think it might come around again. Maybe that's one of my predictions. But yeah, I think Instagram kind of went through that in 2023 where suddenly people are not getting the same results, if any results at all. Lots of people out there telling you, do this tactic, do that tactic, and everyone's trying different things, trying to make it work. And lots of talk about, getting the huge amount of followers or having one thing go viral and suddenly, you're really successful and you've got all these followers. A lot of people teaching how to get big on Instagram, but a lot of small business owners are actually struggling to put that into practice. Or they haven't seen that same thing happen for them as what they're getting taught. So the platform very much became about trending audio and reels that are all very similar, and a lot of people are feeling burnt out by the constant content creation and are looking at alternative platforms, and I think that's very sensible. I think Instagram is for some people and it's not for other people. To be honest, it has been a platform I have always struggled with. It is not really my natural way of communicating. But I'm on there and, I could definitely do better there. And actually one thing I want to do this year is bring on some Instagram specialists as guests onto this podcast. And I think that, I'm going to benefit from that, and hopefully you guys will too. But yeah, I think Instagram is demanding a lot of our time and attention if we want to be actually successful on the platform, if we want to do it well. And it may not be worth it for you. And there are other ways to do business. So just know that if you're really done with Instagram, it's not your place, or, you're sick of it and you want to try something else, there's lots of different options out there. And, there's plenty of ways that you can build your business, and Instagram is definitely not the be all and end all, but I feel like sometimes people do speak about it like it is. So there you have it. There is my take on 2023, my 2023 Wrapped Online Course Creators Edition. What did you notice? I'd love for you to hit me up in the DMs over on Instagram. There I go, talking about Instagram already and telling you to contact me there. But yeah, what did you notice in 2023? I'd love to hear from you actually, and hear what you experienced. Now, I'll be back in a few days with my predictions for 2024, which is going to be a goodie, so make sure you tune into that. And if you love this episode, I'd love it if you could please rate and review it. It would mean the world to me. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.